And then he came in and he started asking questions like, why are you working on that? And it was infuriating because I hadn't quit my job for somebody else to ask me that question.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, what? I don't like you asking me that. Why are you asking me the question? Why am I working on something? If I wanted a boss, I would go and get a job. And he's like, no, you don't understand. I am good at this. Let me help. I'm good at prioritizing. Hello and welcome to the $1 Million Women series. I'm Palak, and today with me, I have my dear friend Heather Roberts. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about why I started this series, and then I'm going to let Heather introduce herself. She's absolutely amazing. This is going to be an incredible conversation. So, for the longest time, I always wished, what if I could be a fly on the wall when people who were where I wanted to be were just having conversations. Like, what are they talking about? How are they viewing life, business? What are their perspectives? How do they think? How are they processing different things that are going on in their life and their business? So I started the $1 Million Women series for the rest of us who didn't have access to something like this as they were scaling their business. So welcome, Heather. I'm so excited to
Thank
have
you.
you.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much. This is great.
Yeah, it's going to be so fun. So maybe we start with just tell everybody about yourself, your background.
Yep. So I became an entrepreneur in 2007. Prior to that, I was the stay-at-home parent in our family. So I did that for 12 years. And my husband and I started in 2007 and still own RSG Sales, which is a agency that helps home decor and furniture suppliers grow their e-commerce sales channel. Along the way, I also started my own decorative throw pillow company, which I've since sold. And I dabbled in podcasting and, I've done coaching on top of all of that. So that's kind of where things have led me.
It's amazing. I did not know that you had a decorative throw pillow company that you have sold. I also did not know that you were a stay-at-home mom. That is an
Yes.
amazing journey. I just think being a parent teaches you so many things about life and business,
Yes.
leadership, multitasking,
Hmm.
adapting to changing
Yep.
environments. My biggest learning from being a parent and a business owner is being able to take everything in stride and you just
Yes.
kind of roll with it.
Hmm.
Hey, we
Hmm.
thought this was going to happen. It didn't happen. What are we going to do about it now?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Well, and it's funny because when my kids were little in kindergarten, they were taught this little phrase: you get what you get and you don't throw a fit.
Yes.
It's kind of a
Yes.
good mantra if you think about it,
Yeah. Yes. I've heard you get
So,
what you get and you don't get upset.
no.
So now that I just found out that you were a stay-at-home mom and then you became a business owner, why start a business as opposed to finding a job?
Yep, great question. So part of it was my husband had been in corporate. So he was, doing the corporate ladder. We moved 5 times in the first 5 years we were married. My kids were all born in different states. I think by the time we were 28, we'd had 5 different houses already. I mean, it was like one of those
Yeah.
craziness. And we were fortunate we got to live in Memphis for almost 5 years when he was with Maybelline. And he eventually left Maybelline and took a job with a company up in St. Louis, ready to assemble furniture company. The person who hired him, the president who hired him, after 2 years was let go. The new president wanted a new VP of sales and marketing, which was what my husband's position was. And so he was let go. And the thought of having to relocate, because, he was in consumer products
Mm.
and goods, a CPG guy in sales. And so having to relocate, be at the mercy of just the corporate thing,
Mhm.
just wasn't appealing anymore. So we put our house in, this is beginning of 2007. We put our house on the market. We made a decision to move back to Charlotte area, and we moved here and we had a house that we still had to sell. We had 3 kids in private school and we had no earthly idea what we were going to do to make money. So we basically what we ended up doing is there was a wrong phone call. We got a phone call and it was supposed to be for somebody, it was literally a wrong number.
Mm.
And in talking to this person, they were like, "Oh, hey, I want to sell to Walmart online because I want to get into their stores." And that was something my husband knew how to do. I am very much ops, marketing, finance oriented.
Mm-hmm.
And so that became our business. Like it literally,
Oh,
a wrong number is what became our business
I
because
didn't
this,
know this story.
yeah. So like in 2007, the internet, especially in home decor and furniture, was just becoming a thing. I mean, Wayfair was still CSN stores, right? Amazon was just getting into selling, larger case good pieces and things like that. This was as companies were like, I need another revenue stream. And it was teaching them a whole completely different business model. And so, we actually grew pretty quickly considering that, it's a whole new industry. And so it's educating a lot of suppliers on how to completely change their business model. I did start my own pillow company because, well, a couple of reasons. One was because my husband and I, we were working together and we didn't have clear enough roles, boundaries, who was the final say.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I always felt like, well, he's the one who's always worked. Turns out what we ended up switching to is the better solution for us, which is he's a sales guy through and through. And, and I love him for that, but he's always going to kind of go, yeah, it's not a risk. No, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
he just
it's a
kind of
different,
goes that
you have to have a different mindset to be able to sell well.
right, right. And I am more of the, okay, that doesn't make sense. Let's logic that out,
Mm.
kind
Yes.
of person. And so while I owned my pillow company, because I was still involved with the business, we sat down and we completely restructured the company. And we made it so that I owned the majority share of the company. And that was very, very deliberate because then there was somebody who could say no. And I
Mm.
know that that seems silly, that little thing on paper, but it was somebody in our case to be able to say, okay, no, we're not going to take that client because they don't fit the model, so it gave him accountability. It
Mm.
also gave him the ability with clients to say, hey, I'm not sure if Heather's going to let us do that. Like it gave him a bad guy.
Yeah.
Um, and
Oh,
it
I
gave,
see. Yes.
yeah, yeah. And so it gave me the ability to build a team that I knew we would need to structure everything around. It gave me the ability to really focus on the marketing. And I did for years, I did a lot of the sales things and the account management, but that's not my sweet spot. So, we were able to structure things so that we really catered to what each person was really good at.
Mm.
And when we made the decision to restructure the company and have a like a formal org chart, so to speak, that's when our sales started, like our growth was like doubling and tripling year after year.
That
And
is amazing.
so, yeah, so that it was
Yeah.
very deliberate. And, now Josh can always say, I have a boss.
So that's interesting that you said that your roles were not defined. And Nidhi and I
Mhm.
had to figure out like our roles when he came in full time in the business, because up until then I was full time in the business and he had his job and he was working with me, but
Yeah,
he was doing as much as he could, basically.
right,
Then when he
right.
came in full time, we had to figure out who does what, and we had to figure out who was good at what. And it was not a very graceful, pleasant realization. Like we went through a lot of ups and downs, and like we had to leave our ego aside to be able to accept that this person's good at this and I'm not, and vice versa.
Mhm.
And it really forced us to be extremely vulnerable with each other. It impacted our relationship in a positive way, but in a very different way than most marriages have to ever connect, right? Like it's
Yeah.
very different than most marriages ever have to work on. So was there ever like a time when there was an ego clash, like, no, I am good at this. And why won't you see that? Because we all have a different way of thinking. And how
Oh,
did
yeah.
you get over that?
Oh, yeah. So I am also fairly analytical.
Yeah.
And so what I had us do was we did like the Myers-Briggs test, we did Colby, we did a couple of different things.
Oh, I
Um,
love
we did,
that.
s-
That's how you
yeah, and we
figured
did
out.
and strength finders. Those are the things we did.
Yeah.
Because I was like, because this is not, I was like, this is not sustainable. We're going to kill each other. And I would really like to stay married to you, you know?
And not go to jail. Yeah.
And so I took that approach. And what that did was help me really, really, really see and understand the things that he was really good at. But the same thing happened to him.
Yes.
So that all of a sudden he's like, oh, she's got skills that I don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to like lean into that. And it further cemented in my head the skills that he has. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the way we went through it
Yeah.
because, we had a couple of months that, I was going to kill him.
Yeah. So with Niti and he came in the business and I was like, I have all these things to do. This is what I'm working on. Like what, and we're all about systems and processes and having the team and all of that. And then he came in and he started asking questions like, why are you working on that? And it was infuriating because I hadn't quit my job for somebody else to ask me that question.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I don't like you asking me that. Why are you asking me the question? Why am I working on something? If I wanted a boss, I would go and get a job. And he's like, no, you don't understand. I am good at this. Let me help. I'm good at prioritizing. And it took everything out of me to not be offended by that.
Yeah.
And then eventually I did realize that he was very good at it. And now I really welcome the opportunity. I feel like it's amazing that I can just go to somebody and be like, listen, all these things need to get done. How do you think we should do it?
Yeah,
And
that's exactly what Josh and I do. We have a weekly meeting. We've been doing this for years.
yes.
And he comes now this weekly meeting came out of a pain point, which was he would just, it's like 9 o'clock at night and he would like say something. I'm like, okay, no, we can't, I can't do this. It's driving me crazy.
Oh my God.
So,
This is you're telling me my own story because
yeah. So
what happened to
I
us
know
too.
you like this. Yes. It's like,
Yeah.
you're like, no, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So first thing we did was we set hours that we were allowed to talk about work.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, it's 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. So like you could come home and have a debrief and all of that.
Yeah.
But the second thing we did was we instituted this weekly meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it takes hours and sometimes it takes 5 minutes.
Yes.
It just depends. And so what Josh does now is he creates his list of all the things he wants to talk about, and sometimes it's ID bouncing, sometimes it's, just various things. And then we sit down and we just go through it point by point by point.
I love it. I just wrote down when you said weekly meeting, I wrote that down because we do the same thing. We do a quarterly planning session, we do a weekly planning session. And we started sending each other invites to meetings. When we wanted to talk about something specific, we said,
yes,
would you just like walk up to your coworker and just start talking about something that was bothering you? You can't just turn each other into a spouse and I'm the biggest culprit here. I can't turn him into a spouse because it's convenient in that moment.
Right.
And then suddenly we're business partners it doesn't work like that.
Exactly.
So if I have a problem, so this is what we decided. We're going to send each other calendar invites and really be professional about it. And I mean, we're still husband and wife, so it's not going to have the same boundaries that you have with a business partner, but at least it helps that other person focus on that specific.
Right. Well, and it's not disruptive, right? The flow is much better and it's, more focused and you get more accomplished.
Yes. And I noticed that when we do it that way, it has really changed my relationship with work. The reason I think we were just talking to each other about work at any point without any boundaries, it's because I had that kind of relationship with work. It was like all the time, anytime. And then we started establishing boundaries with each other. It kind of made me realize that I need better boundaries with work myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was an eye-opening moment.
So one of the things that we do is we also make sure like phones are put away. Like you turn off the Slack so that there's nothing that could be a possible distraction, which has made a huge difference as well.
Yes, absolutely. Treat it like a proper meeting. You're not going to constantly be looking at messages when you're having a meeting with somebody else. So why do that when you're having a meeting with your spouse? I love that.
Yep. And I mean, it's just showing respect.
Yes, absolutely. And you built multiple businesses together and you crossed a million.
So we built RSG sales together. And then I did, so for E by Design, I actually leveraged our RSG sales. So it was our sales force with our major accounts. So, Wayfair, Target, Amazon, so forth and so on. So I leveraged our existing business to help grow the sales side of my pillow business. And so that within 2.5 years of having that company, we were a top 5 pillow supplier, throw pillow supplier at Wayfair. So we made a lot of pillows. We made a lot of pillows. So we had, a several million dollar business. I ended up realizing
And that's just your
that,
side gig.
yeah, yeah.
That was your side gig, yes.
And my side gig was really taking up a lot of time. I'll never forget one day, the kids were already off at school. Josh and I were, trying to go to work. And I just looked at him and I go, I hate it. He's like, what do you hate? I was like, I hate the pillows. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. So I, spoke to some folks about how to make sure I could set it up so it could be sold. So I was able to exit, and it's still doing well. Like it had its 10th year anniversary in 2023. It's
Oh, wow.
still a top supplier in all of our accounts. So yeah, it's kind of cool.
That's
It's kind of
awesome.
cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so what would be your advice for someone who's in business? Maybe they're approaching a million, they've crossed a million, they have a multi-million-dollar business and they hate it. How do you make the decision on whether you push through or you, because I hear this a lot among
Yeah.
people who 1 in 3 million is a hard place to
It's
be in any
hard.
business. It's a
Mhm.
tough place to be. And so I hear this a lot from people who are in that zone. Like, I don't know if I should push through and scale this business and brute force scale beyond 3 million, or it's time to exit.
Yeah. I think what it is, if you have that, for me, it was like, if I just have that, I hate this and the thought of this makes me want to go jump off a cliff. You need to like really, what is it specifically that is making you feel that way? What are your actual pain points? And can your pain points be solved easily or not? And for
Mm.
me, it's this company grew so quickly, so fast. And I still had another business and I had kids, that were in high school at the time. And for me, it was like, this isn't the lifestyle I wanted. This isn't what I had, planned when I did this. So that was the thing for me. It was like that to me, there was not a way that I could just hire out and replace. And, there was just too many working parts. So that's kind of how I approached it. My advice to others is actually, what is it specifically that makes you feel like you want to jump off the cliff? And can you put together a plan to get through that? And,
And if you
you know,
cannot, then don't
and
worry.
if not, then look at, exiting it. What do you need to do and change then within the existing business to make you happy? Maybe you
Yeah.
decide, like, you know what? There's nothing wrong with a $2 million business.
Yeah.
Go for it. Have a
Yeah.
great $2 million business. You do not have to be a 20 million, you know?
Right. Right.
Like that's cool. If that's your hang up is you're like, no, I have to go, 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 go. But you have this great little business and you're making money hand over fist.
What's wrong with that? Yeah. That's such a great point because, as entrepreneurs, we're always trying to put ourselves in rooms where people are 10 steps ahead of us so we could learn from them. But you really have to balance that with this is doing well right now. And it doesn't always have to be about the next level.
Exactly. Like for me, I think that's where the quality of life comes in.
Yeah.
In this stage of my life, I don't want to be some, mogul. No, it's just not what I want.
I just want to build a few $1 million businesses. That's all I
Yeah.
want. I don't want to be some mogul. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I joke
that's
about it. Yeah.
that's better than 97% of the entrepreneurs out there.
Yes. This is the thing is when someone hasn't built a business, to them, crossing $1 million in revenue seems like such a big that's why I joked about it, being
Mhm.
facetious. You think that that's gonna be that level of success that you want to be at. But then when you're at that level, and like you said, only 3% of businesses, is it 3%, ever cross a million in revenue, and a very small fraction are owned by women, right?
Like less than 2%.
And less than 2% of those businesses are owned by women. And so when you get there, you realize you're still small potatoes because it is, well, I will say it's the same amount of work, whether you have a teeny tiny business, you have crossed a million, or I'm assuming it's going to be the same amount of work when you cross 50 million, but it's the type of work that's different.
And the profit, like
and the
in your profit margins, because like,
Yeah.
I think I saw someplace that for women, 80% of women entrepreneurs make less than $100,000 a year in their
Wow.
business. That's like, and if I'm wrong, I apologize, but I know it's a staggering number. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just ridiculous. So I hate the hustle culture, but you need more ease. Like if you are working that hard and you're only making $100,000 a year and you have 10% profit margin, you're doing something wrong.
And
You
it's
know?
so much work that when it's in the early stages, when it's 100K in revenue, it is way more work than it ever is when it scales. And I think
when it scales up. And so I think that's so important, is to don't sacrifice your profit margins for growth's sake,
oh, that's so good. Yes.
because that's how companies go out of business.
Yes. We were at this informal mastermind event a few years ago, and everyone in that room they were all above a million, right? They were doing above a million in revenue. But when you talk to everyone, the impression I kept getting was, I am the smallest fish here. I have so much to learn from, from everyone. They have like this staff that's like 50 people staff. And then we started talking numbers. And I realized a lot of them were not even profitable because people were compromising profit to scale up. And it's like living this lie where your revenue kind of makes you feel like you're doing so good, but you're not profitable at all.
No. And this is like have a real world, but big company example of that. Years ago, there was a company called One Kings Lane. And it's an online
I
site.
have bought from that company years
Yes.
ago.
So Susan Feldman was one of the founders of this business, and she created a very specific niche business that, fit a certain target audience in the online space. And it grew very, very rapidly. I think the valuation at one point was like $1 billion.
Wow, really?
She then made the fatal flaw. There were several, but one of the biggest ones is she decided to go and source her own products instead of continuing to leverage the suppliers that she had on site, because she didn't carry inventory. Now all of a sudden she invested hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in inventory, sacrificed her profit margin for that, and ended up having the company get sold to Bed Bath and Beyond for 19 million.
Oh, wow. Really? I did not
Yes.
know this story. I have bought from
Yes.
One Kings Lane before,
Yes.
like years ago.
Yep. So the moral of the story is she forgot who she was. She forgot the core of what brought her to the dance. Instead, she was over there looking at the bright and shiny.
Yes, and this is a lesson that I learn again and again. Stop tweaking the shit that's working. Like this is what I am always tweaking, the stuff that works. Like, why do I do that? And then it breaks everything. And then we have to put it all back together.
Yeah.
And
you know why you do that? Because as an entrepreneur, you get kind of bored.
Yes.
And you get bored with it and you think, oh, well, if I'm bored with it, everybody else must be too.
Yes.
And I'm like, I've told you this before. I've told you that, if I have to, I always say, if I have to take one more video that says how to sell to Wayfair, I just, but that's stupid, because telling people how to sell to Wayfair or Home Depot or Lowe's or Target, that's the bread and butter of the business.
It is.
So embrace the bread and butter.
So I'm gonna super vulnerable share here, but this is what happened when we all got together and I said, you guys, look at my brand. Can you help me fix it? And in that room full of women who are making over 1 million in revenue, they were all like, what's the problem here? And then I think maybe it was you or somebody asked, are you bored? Is that the problem? And I was like, oh, I need to sit down because yes, that's what it is. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I brought this question up. I'm good. I
Well,
am
that's it.
just
I mean,
bored.
sometimes you need somebody to just kind of lightly say, no, you're really doing good.
Yeah.
You're bored, and it's
And
okay.
those 10 minutes saved 6 months of work because multiple people looked at me and they said, you're fine. Stop tweaking the shit that's working. That this is why it's so important to talk to people at that level because they get it. They've been through it. And what do they say? New level, new devil. Every level,
Yes.
there's so much to learn. And unless you open up about things you're struggling with, there's no way to learn it.
Yeah, and there's no perfect business. That's the other thing. I mean,
There's
everybody's like, oh, I wish I could be this person because their business is fantastic. No, things
no.
happen.
Yes. The reason people are not sharing what they're struggling with is not always because they want to misrepresent themselves. It's because they want to share with you what's working. Them sharing their problems doesn't always help people. So I notice entrepreneurs wait to find the answer before they share what they're struggling with because
Yeah.
sharing just struggles helps no one, right? So
Right.
don't think
Right.
they're not struggling with something right in that moment because everybody's figuring something out. Everybody has challenges. All right, I
Yep.
have one more question,
100%.
Heather, and then I'm
Okay.
going to let you go. um, so you're a mom, a business owner, you own multiple businesses, and I'm sure you're still looking ahead. You have a vision for yourself. What's next for you? What's exciting to you? What do you want to do next?
So thank you for asking. So actually what I'm doing is I have creating the mastermind that I always wished I had found. And so it's a small group of women and we're curating a table so that each person who is invited to participate in the mastermind is a genius in the specific area. So perhaps you're, a sales genius, a marketing genius, a branding genius, financial wealth genius, just an ops genius. You have a specific thing that you just really do well, and you get to leverage the power of the group because for example, when you had your question, you were able to leverage the genius in the group.
Mhm.
And I know in our business, I don't know how to do everything. I'm not going to pretend to, but I always want to be in a place that I'm in a room where I can go to somebody who will know how to help me. So that's what my next step is. And so I'm creating this mastermind. I'm really excited about it.
It's going to be amazing.
It's a 9-month mastermind with a couple of retreats and things in between to keep everybody connected and grow and um, really have a community that they can rely on.
And just, I think having you as someone who's facilitating it and your wisdom to keep everything flowing in the right direction is going to be incredible. I'm so excited for you and for the women that join the
Yeah.
mastermind.
Yep.
Can you tell everyone where to find you? And then we'll let you go.
Yeah. So the best place is actually to go to rsgsales.com. That is because this mastermind is a very personal passion project. And so I'm not marketing it. I am doing referrals and people I know. So if you are interested in any way, shape, or form, go to rsgsales.com and you can get in touch there.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. This was so fun.
It was. It was. I'm so glad.
Yeah. All right. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
When you're ready to get serious, you can join us at theinvestoraccelerator.com.
It's like getting 1,000 episodes worth of information in 5 days, and it's everything you need to build your actionable plan to financial freedom and making work optional.